Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Teaching Learning with Purnima once again. And today we will learn the chapter The Last Lesson, written by Alphonse Daudet. So let's begin with the chapter. First of all, let me tell you some important points to understand the chapter better. This chapter, as I told you, is written by Alphonse Daudet. He was a French novelist and a short story writer. This chapter is set in the backdrop of Franco-Prussian War, in which France was defeated by Prussia, and the two states of France, Alsace and Lorraine, were captured. Prussia was the state of Germany that time, and there was continuous war between these two countries. At the end of the war, Alsace and Lorraine were captured. This chapter gives an insight on how much significant language is. This chapter talks about the importance of language in a person's life, and it is very important for the integrity and solidarity of our nation. If we want to keep our country united, strong and free, we must learn our language and we must feel proud of our language. The narrator Franz offers his tribute to his teacher as well as his language, that is French, in this chapter, that is the last lesson. It is actually the last lesson of French language. Now let's understand the chapter with detailed summary of the chapter covering all the important points. Franz was a little boy when he was in this last lesson of French language, but he has narrated his class after growing up. Even after growing up, he remembers all the important details of this class and he described it. When he was a boy, he was going to attend his last lesson of French. There was a crowd in front of bulletin board. Usually there was always a bad news or sad news put on the bulletin board. He knew that there is a crowd, it means another bad news has come from war, because it was the time of war. So sad news and bad news keep coming very often. But Franz was very late. That is why he did not stop to check out the news, and he hurried towards his class. There was a strange quietness all around, which was very unusual, because usually there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of hustle and bustle in the surroundings. Near the school, there were the noises related to desks being opened. The children used to keep their bags, throw their bags on the chairs, on the desk. Teacher used to beat the ruler in order to keep the silence, and so many other things. But that day it was completely different. There was a strange quietness all around. No ruler was being banged. No children were running here and there. Franz was late to school, late to class. He felt ashamed. He felt scared to enter. But that day, Mr. Hamel, the teacher, was not in mood of scolding or giving punishment. He was very serious. That is why he did not do anything. He did not say anything, and he signaled him to enter the class and sit on his bench. That day, teacher Mr. Hamel was wearing his beautiful green coat, frilled shirt, and a black silk cap. It was a special dress, and he used to wear this special dress on either the days of inspection or some special days. That was a special day for him. This was very important day for him because it was the last class of the French language. Because Alsace and Lorraine were captured, and an order came from Berlin that no more French classes will be given. People will not learn French, they will learn German. because it has been captured by Germany. That day the class was full. All the village people also were sitting on the back benches, the benches which used to be empty on regular days. It means so many people did not used to come to attend the class. But that day everybody attended class as everybody wanted to learn the lesson. Everybody wanted to attend the class in order to give respect to the teacher, also to the language. Everybody looked sad. They had brought something for the teacher to show their respect for all the 40 years that he had given in the service to teach French language. Mr. Hamel told everyone that the order had come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools thereafter. Thereafter, a new teacher will come and new teacher only will teach them German. And that is why Mr. Hamel was going away, leaving that place, and that is why he was also sad and everybody else was sad. Franz grew sad after hearing this. Suddenly he felt attachment. Suddenly he felt love for his books, for his class, also for his language. Suddenly he wanted to learn the language. And he felt guilty also because he had never paid attention to the language. When he was sad, when he was thinking, that time only his name was called to recite the rules. Rules of the chapter, participles, grammar lesson. But he hadn't prepared the lesson of grammar, participle. That is why he messed with his answers. He could not say the rule. In the very beginning only he was stuck and he felt ashamed. Mr. Hamel said that Franz had always ignored his learning, his lessons. He was thinking that he had plenty of time, but now the learning had been put off for uncertain time in Alsace. We all think like that. सभी बच्चे अपनी स्टडीज़ को, अपनी लर्निंग को पोस्टपोन करते रहते हैं, पुट ऑफ करते रहते हैं, थिंकिंग दैट देयर इज़ सो मच टाइम. We will learn it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, next month. We have so many days. But then suddenly we get to know that all the time had slipped away. Now there is not much time to learn and to prepare. And the same thing is happening with Franz also. Mr. Hamel also felt sad that not only Franz, but all other people are like that. They have not given attention to the language. They have never given time to learn the language. And now the time has come that they will not be allowed to learn their language. And that is why Mr. Hamel felt very guilty also, thinking about that Franz has not given time. His parents were also not willing for his studies. They wanted to send him for work so that he could earn money. Similarly, all the other villagers also have not given any attention, not given any time. They did not attend the class. Most of the time the benches were empty. That is why everybody is to be blamed. He himself felt guilty. He also had been putting off his learning for some or other task. Sometime he used to send him for some work, and sometime he gave them holiday because he wanted to go for fishing. And that is why they are to be blamed. They haven't learned the lesson properly. They are not able to recite the rules. They are not able to read it properly. They are not able to understand and write it properly. And he stressed that we should give attention to our language, we should love our language, and we should respect it. We should feel proud of our language. We should feel connected to our language. Then only we can make our country strong. Then nobody will be able to enslave their country. And speaking about the importance of language, he started telling that French is the most beautiful, logical, and the clearest language in the world. He also told that not only French language, But a language for the people of any country is equally important. If we love our language, if we give due respect, and if we learn it, if we feel connected to it, then we can free our enslaved nation. Or it will be difficult for our enemies to enslave us. This is very beautiful message of the chapter. Then he started teaching grammar lesson because French was not able to say the rules properly. So he started teaching grammar lesson, and this time French understood the lesson very well. He was surprised that how easily he could understand the lesson. And then he realized that actually he has never listened his teacher so carefully, so attentively. First time he listened to his teacher very carefully and attentively, and then he is able to understand the rules, grammar. Perhaps Mr. Hamel also had never explained so patiently and so passionately. First time they all feel so much connected to their language that everybody is actually giving 100% to the class. Then they started doing writing task, and for writing task Mr. Hamel brought new copies. On the copies in bold letters, bold and beautiful letters, Mr. Hamel had written France and Alsace. And when the copies were given to the people, when they were kept on the desk, they were looking like beautiful, colorful flags spread in the class. They all started writing very carefully and with full attention. When they all were writing quietly, with full attention, beetles were flying in the class. But this time, that day, nobody was giving attention to the beetles and nobody felt distracted. That happens usually. In normal classes, we feel distracted to see the insects, to see the birds, to listen to the voices. But that day, everybody was quietly writing and not paying attention to anything else. Beetles were there. They sat on the roof. They started scratching as if they are also writing. Pigeons were cooing. They were making sounds as if they wanted to speak their language. And then French wondered. He thought, if the new authorities would be able to make the pigeons also sing in German. If they are singing in their native language. But the new authorities, will they be able to teach pigeons the German language? What they are doing to the people? They are forcing the people to learn German. The people whose native language, whose national and official language is French, they are being asked, they are being forced to learn German. Here the writer wants to bring out an issue of linguistic chauvinism. We should love our language, but we should not force our language onto others. Everybody loves his or her language equally, with same devotion and emotion. We love our language, that is fine, but we should not ask others to love our language, and we should not impose our language on others. That's what the Germans were doing that time. Later, they had a lesson in history. Everybody learned history of French and others. The people in lower grade, they started chanting the letters. They were sad while chanting the letter. Their voice was sad and hoarse. Every detail he remembered so minutely, so well. It was a surprise to the narrator French himself. Then the church clock struck 12, and they heard the trumpets, the instruments, the Prussians returning from drill. They were sounding trumpets. And when Mr. Hamel saw the Prussians, the soldiers returning from drill, he stood up. He became serious, thinking that these Prussians only will be dominating them and he won't be able to teach French to his students. When he stood up, he appeared to be very tall to French just because of the honor that he demanded due to his love towards French language and his love for his country. He felt very sad. He wanted to say something. He could only say, I. And he took a chalk, wrote on the blackboard, Vive la France, which in English can be translated as Long live France. It shows his love for his country. And then he was choked with emotions. He wasn't able to say anything. He knew that he won't be able to continue his class. That is why he made a gesture that the school was dismissed. And he signaled them to go. He was so much overwhelmed with the love for his country and language, with the thought that next day onwards, he won't be able to teach French. Teaching language was not his profession, it was his passion. That is why he was choked with emotions and he signaled the people to leave the school. This how the last class, the last lesson ended.